Sarah had everything a woman could ever wish for. A loving husband, a beautiful home, and a career that was flourishing. Every morning she woke up to the warm embrace of her husband James, a tall, handsome young man who adored her. Their house, a spacious and tastefully furnished duplex in an upscale neighborhood, was the kind of home many people could only dream of. Sarah worked in a top marketing firm, and her salary was more than enough to afford her a luxurious lifestyle. She dressed in designer clothes, wore expensive perfumes, and drove a sleek black SUV that turned heads whenever she passed. To many, Sarah was the definition of a successful woman, but Sarah never let her world change her. She remained kind-hearted, humble, and always willing to help those in need, and that included her childhood friend Emily. Emily and Sarah had been friends since they were little girls. They had grown up in the same neighborhood, attended the same primary school, and even shared childhood dreams of becoming successful together. But life had taken them in two different directions. While Sarah climbed the ladder of success, Emily struggled. She had no stable job and still lived with her aging mother in a cramped, run-down apartment. She had never been married, and though she claimed she was not in a hurry, it was clear that she envied Sarah's marriage. Sarah, being the generous friend she was, often helped Emily. She sent her money when she could, took her out for lunch, and even gifted her old clothes. Clothes that were still in perfect condition but no longer fit her. Each time she gave Emily something, Emily would force a smile and say thank you, but deep inside her, jealousy burned. One Saturday afternoon, Sarah was clearing out her closets when she found a pile of expensive dresses she no longer wore. They were barely used. Some still had price tags on them. She smiled as an idea crossed her mind. Emily will love this. She packed the clothes neatly into a bag and later that evening, drove to Emily's house. When Emily opened the door and saw Sarah standing there with the bag, she smiled. "Sarah, what brings you here?" she asked sweetly. Sarah handed her the bag. "I was clearing out my wardrobe and found some clothes I don't wear anymore. I thought you might like them." Emily took the bag, glancing inside. The smile on her face remained, but her heart tightened with resentment. Sarah had everything: a wealthy husband, a fancy house, a well-paying job, and now she was giving her charity. Emily forced a laugh. "Wow, Sarah, you always remember me." "Thank you." Sarah beamed. "I hope they fit. If they don't, feel free to give them to someone else." That last sentence hit Emily like a slap. Give them to someone else? So Sarah thought so little of her that she was just dumping her leftovers on her. The moment Sarah left, Emily stormed into her mother's room, fuming with anger. Emily's mother, Mama Grace, was a frail-looking woman in her 60s, but she was no ordinary mother. She was feared in the neighborhood. People whispered that she had the power to make things happen, good or bad. Emily threw the bag of clothes on the bed. "Mama, look at what Sarah brought for me," she hissed. Mama Grace eyed the bag, unimpressed. "And what is wrong with that?" Emily clenched her fist. "She gave me her old clothes like I'm some beggar. Just because she has money, a good husband, and a big house, she thinks she's better than me." Mama Grace's eyes darkened. "And you're just realizing this now?" Emily bit her lip. She had been feeling this way for a long time but had never voiced it out loud. Mama Grace leaned closer. "Tell me, my daughter, are you still interested in her husband?" Emily's heart pounded. James? Of course she was still interested. She had always secretly wished that he had married her instead of Sarah. She had flirted with him before, but he never paid her any real attention. "I won't lie, Mama, James should have been mine." Mama Grace smiled. "Then, my child, you shall have him." Emily's breath hitched. "What do you mean, Mama?" Mama Grace picked up the bag of clothes, her fingers tracing over them as her lips moved in silent incantations. "These clothes carry Sarah's energy. Through them, I will ruin her life." Emily watched, mesmerized, as her mother brought out strange-looking items from a small wooden box. A bowl of dark liquid, red powder, and an old rusted needle. "What are you doing, Mama?" she whispered. Mama Grace's eyes gleamed. "By the time I'm done, Sarah will be unbearable to everyone around her. Her husband will leave her. Her friends will avoid her. She will smell so bad that people will run from her. Emily's breath quickened. And James? Mama Grace smiled wickedly. He will be lonely. And that, my child, is when you will strike. Emily smiled. She had wanted this for so long. And now it was finally happening. The next morning, Sarah woke up feeling strange. She went about her normal routine, showering, dressing up, applying her perfume. But when she stepped out of the room, something odd happened. James, who was making coffee in the kitchen, suddenly made a face. He turned to her, his nose wrinkled in disgust. Sarah, did you forget to shower? Sarah frowned. What? Of course not. James stepped back, covering his nose. Then why do you smell so bad? Sarah's heart skipped a beat. I don't smell anything. She lifted her arm and sniffed herself. Nothing. But when she took a step closer to James, he coughed. Sarah, please, he said, his face full of irritation. Whatever this is, take care of it. Sarah stood there, confused, as James grabbed his car keys and left for work. What was happening? She shook it off and went to the office. Sarah walked into the office that morning, feeling like any other day. She wore a crisp white blouse, tucked into navy blue slacks, paired with elegant heels. Her hair was neatly styled, and she had applied her signature vanilla-scented perfume. But something was off. The moment she stepped into the elevator, people shifted away from her. First, she thought it was nothing. Maybe she had just stepped into a conversation she wasn't supposed to hear. But then she noticed the way her colleagues looked at her. Linda, the receptionist who always greeted her with a warm good morning, suddenly sniffled as she walked past. Her smile faltered, and her nose crinkled slightly before she quickly looked away. Sarah frowned. What was that? She continued down the hallway, greeting her colleagues as usual. But something strange kept happening. People who were once friendly didn't respond. Some turned away quickly. One woman, Sharon from accounting, even covered her nose with her hand as Sarah walked past. Sarah slowed her pace. Why was everyone acting so weird? By the time she reached her office, a sinking feeling had started to settle in her stomach. She pushed open the glass door and found her assistant, Mia, at her desk. Mia was typing on her laptop, but the moment Sarah walked in, her fingers froze. Sarah noticed the slight flinch on Mia's face before she quickly composed herself. Good morning, ma'am, Mia said, but her voice sounded forced. Sarah sat down and started arranging some files. Mia, is everything all right? Mia hesitated. Yes, everything is fine, but her body language said otherwise. Sarah watched as Mia subtly leaned away from her, keeping a little more distance than usual. That's when it hit her. This wasn't just one or two people acting strangely. It was everyone about. A strange unease crept up her spine, but she brushed it off. Maybe she was just overthinking. She turned on her computer and got to work. An hour later, Sarah stepped out of her office to grab a coffee. That's when things got worse. As she walked through the hallway, she heard whispers behind her. It is her. God, it's so bad. How does she not know? Sarah's heartbeat quickened. Were they talking about her? She reached the coffee station, where a few colleagues were gathered. As she poured herself a cup, she noticed something disturbing. One by one, they all left. They didn't just leave. They practically rushed out, covering their noses as they went. Sarah froze. What was happening? She took a deep breath. I don't smell anything. So why were people acting like she was covered in garbage? Determined not to let anxiety take over, Sarah ignored everything and went back to work. But by lunchtime, things took a humiliating turn. She decided to go to a nearby supermarket to grab a quick snack. The moment she walked in, customers turned to stare. And then it began. A woman standing near the fruit section covered her nose aggressively and walked away. A man at the bread aisle took one look at Sarah, gagged, and abandoned his shopping cart. Even the cashier stepped back when Sarah approached the counter. Sarah's hands shook as she handed over the money. The cashier took it with extreme reluctance. Her nose scrunched up as if she was about to vomit. Sarah felt her face heat up. Something was terribly wrong. She hurried out of the store, her heart racing. As soon as she reached her car, She pulled down the mirror and sniffed herself again. Nothing. She smelled nothing, but everyone else did. By the time Sarah got home, she was shaking. She stepped into the house and saw James sitting on the couch, watching TV. He looked up and immediately tensed. Sarah swallowed hard. "Hey babe." James's jaw clenched. "Sarah," he hesitated, his voice lower than usual. She could already tell what he was going to say. It was him. He smelled it too. Sarah felt something snap inside her. "What is going on?" she demanded. "Why is everyone acting like I stink? I don't smell anything." James's face twisted in frustration. "Sarah, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's bad. Really bad. It's like something died on you." Sarah's blood ran cold. She backed away, shaking her head. "No, that's not possible. I can barely sit near you," James admitted, standing up. Sarah's breath came in shaky gasps. This wasn't normal. This wasn't just a bad day. Something was very, very wrong, and she had no idea how to fix it. Sarah stood frozen, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. James's words played over and over in her head. "I can barely sit near you." She opened her mouth to protest, to argue that it was all in his head, that maybe he was mistaken. But then James did something that shattered her completely. He took a step back, then another. Then he grabbed his car keys from the table and said, "I need some air." And before Sarah could say another word, he walked out of the house. Just like that, Sarah's knees gave out, and she sank onto the couch. What was happening to her? That night, Sarah scrubbed herself raw. She stood in the bathroom, running the loofah over her body again and again, using 3 different kinds of soap. She washed her hair. She brushed her teeth until her gums bled. She even used a lemon scrub, hoping to remove whatever smell everyone was running from. When she was done, the bathroom smelled like vanilla, citrus, and lavender. There was no way she still smelled bad. She wrapped herself in a towel, feeling hopeful for the first time all day. But the moment she stepped out of the bathroom, she saw James sleeping on the couch. Her heart broke. He had never slept on the couch before. Even after fights, he would always hold her at night. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she swallowed them down. She refused to break. The next day, Sarah woke up determined to act normal. She put on a fresh outfit, used extra perfume, and told herself everything would be fine. But the moment she arrived at work, she felt it again. The same stares, the same whispers. Even Mia, her assistant, was wearing a face mask. Sarah's stomach twisted. She sat at her desk, pretending not to notice. But the final blow came when her boss, Mr. Thompson, called her into his office. She stepped inside, keeping her chin high. But the moment he opened his mouth, she knew she was finished. "Sarah," he sighed, rubbing his temples. "I don't know how to say this, but we've received multiple complaints." Sarah's throat tightened. "Complaints? You are a valuable employee," Mr. Thompson continued. "But there is an issue. People have been complaining about a very strong odor around you. It's making the work environment uncomfortable." Sarah's heart dropped. "Sir, I don't smell anything," she whispered. Mr. Thompson gave her a pitying look. "Sarah, I don't know if it's a medical condition, but we need you to take some time off and sort this out." Sarah felt like she had been slapped. "You are suspending me?" "Temporarily," he clarified, "just until this issue is resolved." Tears burned in Sarah's eyes, but she refused to cry. Instead, she nodded stiffly, turned around, and walked out. By the time she reached the parking lot, she was shaking with rage, humiliation, and fear. Sarah drove home in a daze. She had lost her job, her husband couldn't stand being near her, and she still had no idea what was happening to her. As she pulled into the driveway, she saw something that shattered her even more. James was sitting outside in his car, and he wasn't alone. Emily was with him. Sarah's stomach twisted. Emily was laughing, her hand lightly touching James's arm. Sarah gripped the steering wheel so tightly, her fingers turned white. Something was very, very wrong. And for the first time, she realized this wasn't just bad luck. Someone had done this to her. Sarah sat in the car, gripping the steering wheel so tightly that her knuckles turned white. Emily was laughing with her husband, and James, her own husband, was smiling back at Emily. Sarah's chest tightened, a lump forming in her throat. But before she could dwell on it, Emily suddenly turned and noticed her. Her eyes widened, and within seconds, she was rushing toward Sarah's car. "Sarah," Emily's voice was filled with concern, her brows furrowed in worry. Sarah slowly stepped out of the car, her body stiff. "Sarah, what is going on?" Emily asked, reaching out to touch Sarah's arm, but she quickly pulled back, pretending to hesitate. I know you've been stressed lately, but something seems really wrong." Sarah swallowed the lump in her throat. "I'm fine." Emily gave her a sympathetic look. "Sarah, don't do that. You're not fine. James told me what's been happening. He's worried about you." Sarah's eyes flickered to James, who was still sitting in the car, rubbing his temple as if exhausted. "Sarah, I know this is hard," Emily continued, lowering her voice, "but you need to see a doctor." Sarah's stomach twisted. "A doctor?" "Emily, I know, listen to me." Emily gently held Sarah's hands, her voice soft and persuasive. "I know you might not realize it, but people have been noticing something off. It's not just James or your coworkers, Sarah. Even at the supermarket the other day, I saw how people reacted." Sarah's breath hitched. She had tried so hard to ignore it, to convince herself that everyone was just imagining things, but Emily was making it real. "I don't know what's wrong, Sarah," Emily continued, squeezing her hands, "but I care about you. You need to get checked. Maybe it's a head issue, maybe something you ate, or an allergic reaction. You don't deserve to go through this alone." Sarah blinked rapidly, tears threatening to fall. No one had spoken to her with this much concern, not even James. Emily was the only one still standing by her side. Sarah let out a shaky breath. "Do you really think it could be something medical?" Emily nodded eagerly. "Yes, and don't worry, I'll go with you. Whatever it is, we'll find a solution together. I've got your back, Sarah." Sarah's lip trembled as she finally let her words crack. She had felt so alone, but maybe Emily was right. Maybe something was truly wrong with her health, and Emily was the only one willing to help her through it. The next morning, Sarah sat in the doctor's office, her hands gripping her purse tightly. Emily sat beside her, holding her hand in reassurance. "It's going to be okay, babe," Emily whispered. Sarah gave her a small, grateful smile. The doctor, a middle-aged man with kind eyes, finally stepped in, flipping through some notes. "So, Sarah," he began, "I understand you've been experiencing another issue." Sarah's face burned with shame. She forced a nod. The doctor adjusted his glasses. "Have you noticed any physical symptoms? Skin changes? Unusual body reactions?" Sarah hesitated. "No, I feel fine, but everyone else seems to smell something that I can't." The doctor hummed in thought. Interesting." He ran a few tests, checked her temperature, asked her about her diet, and even took some blood samples for further analysis. As Sarah sat there, Emily leaned in, giving her a warm smile. "You're doing great," Emily whispered. "We'll get to the bottom of this." Sarah exhaled a deep breath, relief washing over her. Emily was truly looking out for her. For the first time in weeks, Sarah felt hopeful. By the time they left the hospital, Sarah felt a bit lighter. Emily stayed by her side, chatting and lifting her spirit. "You're going to be okay," Emily assured her. "Even if the tests come back with something, we'll handle it together." Sarah nodded, grateful beyond words. She never realized how much she needed a friend. What she didn't see, however, was the tiny smile that flickered across Emily's lips. She turned away. What she didn't know, what she couldn't know, was that Emily had already won the first battle. Sarah was falling into her trap, and soon she would lose everything. Sarah sat on her bed later that evening, staring at the ceiling. The visit to the doctor had given her a small sense of hope. Maybe something was really wrong with her health. Maybe the doctor would find the cause and give her medicine to cure it. She sighed and picked up her phone. No missed calls from James. Her chest tightened. He hadn't spoken to her much since yesterday. Was he avoiding her? She shook off the thoughts and scrolled through her messages. There was one from Emily. "I hope you're feeling better. Try to rest. Remember, I've got your back," with a love emoji. Sarah smiled a little. Emily had been so kind through all this. Unlike everyone else, she didn't treat her like a problem. She quickly replied, "Thanks, Emily. I really appreciate you." Emily's reply came almost immediately. "Anytime, love. Get some sleep. We'll figure this out together," with a love emoji. Sarah put her phone down and exhaled. For the first time in days, she felt less alone. The next morning, Sarah woke up to find James's side of the bed still untouched. Her heart sank. She quickly got up and went downstairs. But James wasn't in the living room or the kitchen. She checked the guest room. Empty. Panic rose in her chest. She grabbed her phone and called him. It rang twice before he picked up. "Hello." His voice was distant, almost annoyed. "James, where are you?" A pause. Then he sighed. "I slept at a hotel." Sarah's stomach dropped. "A hotel?" She whispered. "I needed space, Sarah." His tone was sharp, cutting through her like a knife. "I can't live like this. I can't eat near you. I can't even breathe properly in the same room as you." Sarah swallowed hard, forcing back tears. "But I went to the doctor yesterday," she said quickly. "Emily went with me. We are waiting for the test results. They might find what's wrong and fix it." James sighed again. "I don't know, Sarah. I need time." "Time for what?" Sarah's voice cracked. "To think." Sarah gripped the phone tightly, fear creeping into her bones. "James, please don't do this. I'm trying to fix it." Another silence. Then finally he said, "I'll come by later to pick up some clothes." And just like that, he hung up. Sarah stared at her phone, her whole world crashing down. Sarah sat on the couch, her hands trembling. She had never felt so helpless in her life. Her husband was sleeping away. Her job was gone. Her life was falling apart. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was Emily. Sarah quickly picked up. "Sarah." Emily's voice was soft, gentle. "How are you feeling?" Sarah bit her lip, trying not to cry. "Not good. James didn't come home last night." Emily was silent for a moment. Then she sighed. "Sarah, I know this is hard, but maybe James just needs space. Men are like that sometimes." Sarah sniffed. "But what if he never comes back?" "Don't think like that," Emily said sweetly. "You are his wife. He loves you. He's just confused right now." Sarah desperately wanted to believe that. "Listen," Emily continued. "Why don't I come over later? I'll bring some food and we can talk. You shouldn't be alone right now." Sarah hesitated, then nodded. "Okay, I'll like that." "Good," Emily said. "I'll be there soon." Sarah hung up, feeling a tiny bit better. At least Emily was still by her side. At least she had someone. But what Sarah didn't know was that Emily wasn't coming over just to comfort her. She was coming over to push her further into despair. And little by little, Sarah was walking right into her trap. Later that evening, Sarah sat on the couch, waiting for Emily. Her heart was heavy. She kept checking her phone, hoping for a message from James. Nothing. Her eyes were puffy from crying, her mind racing with thoughts she couldn't control. What if James didn't come back? What if she lost him forever? Just then, the doorbell rang. Sarah wiped her face quickly and rushed to open it. Emily stood there, holding a food bag and a bottle of juice, her face filled with concern. "Oh, Sarah," she sighed, stepping inside and wrapping her arms around Sarah. That simple hug made Sarah's chest tighten. She needed this. 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 She needed this.